What else we got? David, there's some bad news on Capitol Hill. Tell me about the US Treasury official and what kind of nonsense is he speaking right now?
Okay, so remember, Treasury, of all departments out there, we have the CFTC, we have the SEC. Treasury is the real one. Treasury
Yeah.
is the final boss.
Because they
And so,
do the financial surveillance. This is like
right, it's the
FinCEN, this is OFAC.
anti-terrorism. Yeah, it's the national security arm rather than the Gary Gensler. Like if you have the big Doge, little Doge meme, Gary Gensler is the little Doge, and this is the big Doge.
And this Janet Yellen leads this office,
Yes,
right? She's the
yes.
Secretary of Treasury right now.
Yes. And so there is a call from Deputy Secretary Wally Adiemo's proposal calls to expand authority, tools, and resources to go after illicit actors in the digital asset space. I mean, I'm all a fan of illicit actors not being in crypto. But then they talk about terrorist groups, including Hamas, use new virtual currency methods to move, store, and obfuscate their funding streams, which we've already, as an industry, totally debunked any meaningful amount of activity of this nature. He goes on and says these methods often use evasive cryptocurrency networks and services, including mixers. They're talking about Tornado Cash here. So the proposal here is really to beef up the Treasury Department's powers under the Bank Secrecy Act, allowing for the targeting of crypto entities and services that facilitate funding for terrorists. Of course, the definitions of who is doing these things is always very squishy. Under this new proposal, a new category of financial institutions under the Bank Secrecy Act would include exchanges, virtual asset service providers, virtual asset wallet providers, validators, DeFi apps. The threshold for becoming a highly regulated entity under this new proposal is very, very low, including the distribution and writing of open source software. This is what I would call an attack on crypto, right, Ryan? Fair.
Yeah, 100%. This is one of the worst things that I've seen coming out of Treasury, like maybe ever. They really want to expand their powers and use kind of like terrorist financing as an excuse to do that. We know where this is coming from. Tether might totally be in their sites as well. This is Niraj from Coin Center. This is his take on this. The Treasury Department has recommended a massive expansion of warrantless surveillance and power to sanction open source software. This would include expanding the definition of financial institution to include any asset wallet provider, any blockchain validator node. Think of an Etherscan, DeFi services like Uniswap. Basically, what this means is treating all wallets and DeFi service providers as if they were custodial, subjecting them to the same AML, KYC, financial surveillance apparatus as a custodial wallet. I mean, David, this is one of those things which is like, this kind of kills DeFi in the US. Like it's kind of like an extinction event. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean DeFi won't, go outside, but it has to go underground effectively in the US, or it becomes a lot more like TradFi. This is Austin Campbell's take. Do you want to read this out, David?
Yeah, I won't read the whole thing because it's pretty long, but there's a link in the show notes for people who want to dive down deeper. Austin Campbell, we've had him on the podcast before. Great guy. He says, it has some reasonable points, but it is also asking for the broadest expansion of powers since the Patriot Act, and in a way that makes a mockery of some of the technical details of modern communication, with a side benefit of probably causing major geopolitical conflict due to the overreach. To me, it's a little bit like an Icarus kind of moment for Treasury. It's just like not being informed about the technology, being just like a bull in a china shop when it comes to geopolitical relations and enforcing our rules externally upon other countries, regardless of whether they want them or not. It's it to me feels like a grasping for power over this thing that they should know they can't really have that much power.
It's 100% that, but it's also, I think this is coming from this political push that, led by Elizabeth Warren and others to really squash out crypto, right? And so Treasury doesn't have the authority to do this, to expand the Bank Secrecy Act in the way that they're proposing, to like do something as invasive as the Patriot Act. Like what authority do they have to do that? The answer is they don't have the authority. So what are they doing? They're going to Congress to go ask for it, to push for it. And that's why it's been so imperative for Elizabeth Warren and the anti-crypto army to basically tie crypto with terrorist financing and Hamas. That's why they've been really pushing that narrative, including through mainstream media. You could see it all coming together. And now Treasury is saying, yes, we have to do something about that. And we know just what the solution is. Let me go to Congress and tell you guys what you should be doing.
Oh, Congress put 20 signatures on a piece of paper that talked about the calling of reining in the crypto industry because of terrorist financing, because of this one Wall Street Journal article. Was it Wall Street Journal?
Yes.
Yeah, well, the Wall Street Journal article, like, oh, we now have to do something, even though the foundations for the rationale are completely vapid. Like, most people aren't going to look that far.
They're recruiting others to the anti-crypto army as well. Did you see this clip of Jamie
Yeah.
Dimon in front of Congress? Let me play this for you.
I've always been deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin, et cetera. You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that is a use case because it is somewhat anonymous, not fully, and because you can move money instantaneously, and because it doesn't go through, as you mentioned, all these systems have built up over many years, know your customers, sanctions, OFAC, they can get bypass all of that. If I was the governments, I'd close it down.
If I was the governments, I would close it down. That is Jamie Dimon. He is the CEO, longtime CEO of $3 trillion in asset bank. Okay, this is a bank. This is a banker strike back called JP Morgan. And of course, that question was fielded to him by none other than Elizabeth Warren. Do you see what's happening here, David? And
Elizabeth Warren is giving Jamie Dimon the opportunity to bend the knee.
Yep.
And he's just saying, oh, absolutely, I will totally do that. Also, all the services that he says that crypto does to the world, like money laundering and tax evasion and terrorist financing, is just what banks do. That's what banks
David, he also said that that's the only purpose of crypto. Do you hear his words? It was like, that's the only purpose of crypto. David, do you engage in criminal activity?
I don't.
Are you a crypto user?
That would be news to me.
Oh, wow. So like there's at least one person here who is using crypto for non-criminal
Hopefully
activity.
at least two, right?
Yes, I'll say I also do not use crypto for criminal activity. I mean, like, it's just unbelievable. What a broad strokes, brush. But is it that surprising that the world's largest bank CEO doesn't like a system to help people go bankless? I mean, is it that surprising?
Yeah. Well, I mean, same thing with the political establishment. Yeah. And this is what sectors like this have to do. They have to bend the knee because being aligned with the monopoly over violence ultimately is the final game. Sad.
It is sad. It's sad for the American people. I also wonder here, David, do you know JP Morgan has a project, a crypto project called Onyx?
Yep.
Onyx? Yeah.
Yeah, they've been in collaboration with Consensus for like years now. They had their own private stablecoin too.
It's like an Ethereum chain. Like, I've actually met people who work for Onyx, and
they're smart, great people.
Yeah, some of them are. It's just a complete private chain. So I don't know what he's saying about this entire
division. See, there's this chance that like Jamie Dimon is like, oh, I have to go into Congress and chant the chant that Elizabeth Warren wants me to chant. And then in the back, I'm just going to go build on crypto because it's the future.
He's playing both sides, right? Yeah. So right now it's politically expedient to do this thing and make this unholy alliance. Anyway, you can see all the pieces coming together. And this is our challenge going into 2024. But I got to tell you, David, crypto markets don't care. It seems like that on the week.
I don't care.
Neither do the builders.
To continue leveling up your crypto game, then you need to get on the Bankless newsletter. It's the world's most popular crypto email and is completely free. Just click below to sign up.